Okay, so to say this video is late would be a huge understatement, but I suppose being fashionably late to a topic is becoming the half-pint charm at this point. There's a lot of videos that I want to discuss and go over this summer that I never got around to, so starting this week, I'm just going back and nailing these videos and just getting them out while I have the chance. But I digress. Kill la Kill If is a game that released to mixed reception. Fans have wanted a Kill la Kill game or a continuation of the story in some form, but let me be clear, when I say this game under-delivers in both of these categories. I originally had 3 different ways I thought about starting off this video: appealing to fans, starting off with a joke to set the mood like most of my videos usually do, or just outright apologizing for the rant that's about to occur in advance. But going through these options, none of these did justice for what this video is even trying to get across, because I want to be as truthful as possible. I absolutely love Kill la Kill. I don't watch very much anime as most of them just feel the same to me, following the same tropes and even animations. About 90% of anime styles look the exact same with a few exceptions such as One Punch Man, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and most 90s animes such as Cowboy Bebop. But Kill la Kill, more than just broke that mold, the show knows what it's about, and Studio Trigger made that case abundantly clear with some of the most pleasing visuals to watch. Unique and very self-aware at times, not to mention that the whole cast of characters are unique in their own ways with how each person moves or even talks. I still remember how I got into the show for the first time. My buddy tried his damnedest to get me into the anime. Then he brought up Kill la Kill and told me not to talk to him until I watched the first episode. We would then talk the next day after I binge watched half the freaking anime. You start watching the show at first for what you think is going to be a guilty pleasure due to the overly sexualized themes, but end up staying for the self-aware humor, the over-the-top anime style, and very underrated story. So it became very clear to me why I would appreciate this show very much. And I've become fairly confident that the main character of the show went from best girl material to just straight up my spirit animal. Seriously, running into your problems head first while yelling at the top of your lungs? Yeah, that sums me up pretty well. I would even go as far as to say that watching this in English may be the best way for the show, not only so you can spend more of your time looking at the spectacular animation style and less time reading, but also because the English feels way more than just a dub in the show. They put on a damn good performance and have some fairly big actors fitting in some of the roles. And I don't need any anime weebs jumping down my throat telling me, you gotta watch this in native language, it's how it's made. Oh, spare me and put a sock in it. I'm a full-blooded American. If I so choose to watch the language of my people, then so be it. Now, with that being said, this show easily became one of my favorite shows of all time, anime or not. Naturally, when I heard of the new game coming out, I collectively lost my shit, found it again, and lost it once more. I was hyped, but not overly so. I saw gameplay early on from its release and found out it was a brawler game of sorts with an interesting graphic style, to say the least. Okay, I'm not going to beat around the bush on this one. The early footage of this game made me set my expectations very appropriately for this game. And if I'm honest, it didn't get much better on release day. Hell, the days leading up to its release were really starting to give off some really bad vibes. So, the game was released on the PlayStation and Switch consoles, but not the Xbox? Nowadays, there's not that many games that avoid major consoles unless they're exclusives. But this was coming to the PC for God's sakes, and 2 different consoles. And for a non-AAA game, they could have used the advertisement that Microsoft does on the front page of the console with the store page and Mixer streams. And more on that very shortly. But to stay on track here, I didn't have a Switch at the time or a PlayStation, so I had to buy it on Steam, which there wasn't even a page for the game on Steam until its release day. You couldn't even pre-order the game. And by the time I could purchase the game, that's when I finally realized I was paying $60 for this game. Okay, so this wasn't just a small size summertime release then, right? You're deciding to compete with my wallet with the other big league games. Okay, well, with that being said, the bare minimum I expect with this kind of release is a decent sized options menu for the PC port. In-game, you will not get any graphical options to change in case people have difficult times running the game. Unlike consoles, computers are not the same and don't use the same specs. But this should be understood by now in today's industry, but instead, you decide to port the console version of the game to the PC by doing the bare minimum that you could do, which is proven when you boot up the game and the first thing that pops up is a dialogue box. What is this, your first 3D game in real time? Is this, what, early 2000s? It must be, because you really can't jack the settings that much in the first place. There's only 3 resolutions, and none of them are even 4K, which is really not that hard to achieve on a PC anymore. This isn't new technology. Oh yeah, and good luck if you're one of those people that happen to have an awkward ratio for your monitor, unless a modder decides to fix that for you, because they didn't do it for you. Again, 3 resolutions. This crap would make Total Biscuit roll in his grave right now. Rest in peace, buddy. We all miss you. And I know it seems like I'm going a little over the top with the options menu right now, but there's a reason why people like Total Biscuit talked about this stuff extensively, okay? There's people who need this stuff because some people suffer conditions, seizures with fast-paced games such as this, or maybe you have a low rig system where you have to optimize your settings appropriately, which you really can't that much here. Or maybe you want to push the game to its limit, see how pretty it looks. You can't do that either because the game doesn't go that high. If you're creating a $60 product, then you're telling the buyer in our current industry that you made a full quality game competing for their wallet. When purchasing this product, they are choosing your game against other $60 titles out there instead, as most people can only choose a limited amount of $60 games throughout the season. And with that price point being shown up front, that means you're trying to appeal for the masses, which means at least offer the option for the masses if you have the PC release. Period. And there are other problems that arise as well when you boot up the game to really show that it is indeed a half-ass port. Some menus are locked to certain keys, not allowing the mouse or arrow keys. Particles drop the frame rate even with the lowest setting on all rigs. Lack of in-game settings menu, as stated before. Frequent game crashes, which I luckily haven't ran into, but damn near every review stated that they had that problem and brought it up. But we're not even done yet. Things escalate more when you actually get into the game itself, and that begins when you boot up the game and see this message for the first time. Yeah, you read that right. There's no way to misinterpret that. For some reason, someone thought it'd be a good idea to not allow recordings or streaming of any sort when it came to the story mode. In a game I paid for $60. Where's my money's worth in this game? You're literally now cutting content out that I can't even show when I paid for it. I don't understand what's up with this Japanese censoring of recordings and streaming of games. Nintendo, Atlas, and now these guys. Hello? Have you guys seen the rise in popularity of certain games due to YouTube? Hell, the whole industry has boomed in recent years to social media platforms. Let's plays, walkthroughs, highlights, reviews. This stuff has all helped games grow substantially. And apparently the developers partially understood this. Whilst Atlas just censored the final act of Persona 5 from being streamed, which could at least be argued for spoiler reasons and have more people go and buy the game and finish it, the boys of Kill la Kill IF, or IF, just outright banned footage of the whole campaign. Probably because it's so damn short and has one plot twist at the end of the game that really doesn't make much sense and just convolutes itself by shortening the anime into a 3-hour campaign and only taking the highlights of the show. I'd even argue they missed the best ones too. Then, they made the primordial life fiber into the final boss by turning it into a giant baby. Oh yeah, spoiler alert. But then do a psych out by saying it was all just a dream inside Satsuki's head. Get it? Kill la Kill? If? But then you switch characters after beating the first story with Satsuki and do it with Ryuko's perspective. But it's still all Satsuki's dream? But Ryuko wakes up at the end, but it's Satsuki's dream. Wait, what? Then they jammed this as if it happened during the events of the show. Cool concept, but could have been done better. And I understand I'm spoiling what there is of a story here, and they're banning footage of the story, but I'm reviewing this. And I'm going to talk about it. You can censor my footage, but not my words, Dad. And look, the game itself isn't too bad, but we'll get more into the gameplay after this story. What boggles me is you're trying to censor the story from getting out to the public. But I'm not even sure who this is for in the first place. Is it for the hardcore fans? Because this story is likely just a condensed version of the anime with a different twist at the end so that they could use less assets and have different final bosses. Okay, so is it for new people of the series? People who haven't watched the anime but are still willing to pay $60 for a title they've never even been into before? Hell, if they get into the story, they're just going to be confused as it just throws random names and random plot points at you so the game can keep up with its own logic because it's running so fast that the story can't even keep up with its own BS logic. At the end of the story, the head bitch's mom has to re-explain what's going on 4 different times. Probably more than that because you replay the story a second time from someone else's perspective. Not that there's new stuff really, they just recycle assets and say, here you go, a new story. Seriously, if you haven't watched the show before playing the game, just go watch it first. But as for the developers, you had so many ways to create a game in this rich universe of Kill la Kill. And not only did you choose to retread the story, you half-assed it. You could have made a prequel, a sequel story, a side story, or chose any of the events in the story to go more in depth with. Imagine going more in depth during the events of the school wars, or when the academy had the all-out purge to see who would be the one to get their next 3-star uniform. Those few days that the show skipped over, you know, have fun, run with it. Imagine having to pick and choose your battles on the map of the academy, and each battle with a different club member. You could have made it just like, I don't know, like Killer Instinct's story mode, or I think more people recognize the Smash Brothers World of Light. You could have made a simpler version of that. There are so many club bosses from the Kill la Kill franchise that you could have used. You could have gotten creative, created new ones, made some of the old ones, and like, that sounds like a $60 game I would have paid for, but instead, we're retreading ground in a shorter condensed story mode of stuff you've already seen from the anime, with just a different ending. When you beat the current story mode that we did end up getting, that's it, you're done, 3 hours, no more, no replay value, no reason to go back. Okay, well, so if the story mode's not good, how does the gameplay hold up? The game feels good, really good to play. You feel like you're actually in control of the characters from the anime. It feels like an anime. That's good. There's a reason why this game isn't a side-scrolling fighter, and what they did here works really well. Combat is fluid and very snappy with the controls. All characters that are at your disposal have their own strengths and weaknesses. Non is a perfect character for zoning, but is easily in danger when engaging up close. Sonic Ayame is a brutal, close-quarter combat character, but can easily be punished if too aggressive, just like in the show. If you're button smashing, you will get punished, and you will not survive. Gamagori is heavily reliant on his defensive capability as they charge up his attacks to obliterate his foes. Ryuko herself is a heavyweight brawler as you feel from her attacks, and she even plays dirty by inserting jabs or kicks in there to show that she's not there to play, but just there to win. And Satsuki is very delicate while showing her dominance with flurries of attacks delivered with decisive power. Each character is built as if straight out of the anime, and it works very well. And that's it. There's not really much to the game. Load up an arena, have a 1v1 and call it a match. Over and over and over. And that's when the game starts to show its cracks. It's repetitive. Very repetitive. There's not even that many fighters. You have a total of 8 different fighters, and Satsuki and Ryuko both have one-handed and dual-wielding variants. Terrific. I even jacked up the CPU to add more of a challenge, but the AI doesn't even get any smarter. They just take more hits and deal more damage. Wow. Such power. Then I decided to hop into multiplayer, where no matches are going on. Mind you, that was the first week after the game's release. You're telling me the population is already botched only a week after its release? And apparently the devs expected otherwise. When you form a lobby in the game, you can set up the option for streaming. So what are you guys for? Do you want streaming or not? Because encouraging other companies to start this practice in the future can add major confusion for streaming and recording content that could become a new standard and will just literally hurt the industry. Upcoming content creators get hurt from bans like this. I've seen many channels grow from smaller game titles, from the follow-up until the release of the game. But if they can't even cover the one different thing about your game, what's the point? Showing footage of a 1v1 no different from anyone else's footage if anyone else is even doing it. I've put about 6 hours into the game, and about an hour of that was sitting on the main menu while I had other things to do. You know, more important things to do than trying to figure out what's important about this game. And I'm afraid that's all the time I'm gonna put into the game. It has nothing else to offer. Apparently there's 2 more fighters coming, but what's that gonna change? Free content or not? It's a little late. For $60, they should have already been there. The game is stale and there's nothing else to do. And don't you dare tell me about the survival mode is something new to do. I'll admit, it was cool to see different encounters in the campaign when fighting side enemies as well as the target, or even fighting numerous covers like it's Dynasty Warriors. Even the 1v1v1 was really cool, although outright broken and easy to abuse. The charm then quickly wears off, especially when you run into the next 1v1, which is you versus another bullet sponge target that can basically one combo you because, you know, such damage. Oh yeah, spoiler alert! But I don't know, maybe I should get back into the game and do more 1v1s and see if people are online. Gotta grind out those coins so I can buy more voice lines and people congratulate me on beating the game. Or maybe I should spend it on the new poses for its picture mode. Lovely. I love Kill la Kill, and I don't wish any ill will on the developers of this game in particular. It's not a bad game, it's just mediocre. The game was priced and marketed as a AAA game and underdelivered with not much to do, lacking replay value, and not a very good PC port. And yeah, that matters. You lose points for that. If this game was $30 maybe, I'd understand. But instead, I feel like it was a cash grab at the audience that were looking for a brand new product within the universe. I can see some of the love poured into this game, but it lacks any form of structure, and I hope it won't be the last we see of Kill la Kill. I would still love to see if Platinum Games is interested in making a Kill la Kill game and follows through with it. But I'm afraid we'll have to wait and see what the future holds for the young series. In the meantime, follow me on Twitter, link below. Stay up to date with what I'm doing, or Discord to get in touch with me personally. Or just stay here and subscribe. I get lonely here too. I mean, the more that sub number goes up, the higher my ego gets, and the more videos that come out. True story.